All right, Shawn Ray here for digitalmuscle.com. I'm joined with the legendary bodybuilder extraordinaire and trainer to the stars, the real deal, Chris Cormier. We are catching up on the many years of contests, competitions, and obviously Chris has trained champions around the globe and has traveled and seen a lot of things. And we're going to catch up with what's going on with Chris today. As a matter of fact, Chris, you got started bodybuilding right after I did, I believe. It's like 1983, 84.
Yes, 1983, 84. I was, got tipped off by my high school teacher, thought I should try bodybuilding, and that's when I started to, recognize the different physiques, and I had my first competition here in Palm Springs, California, at Palm Springs High School.
Yep, and we are in Palm Springs at the moment, not too far away from where it all started. I met Chris back in high school as a wrestler. The real deal joined me at my high school campus. I think that was the first time you got a glimpse of a real bodybuilder. Wasn't that the first time or no?
That's the first time I saw you.
Okay.
And then again, when you came down, they handed me my trophy for the teenage division.
Yeah.
That was
the glory days.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
You kicked it off, and also I think Bob Birdsong was out here, right? Bob Birdsong and Frank Zane.
Yeah, Mike Christian came down to guest pose. He was Mr. California, I think, in 1983.
Yeah, well, let's fast track it. So Mike Christian was Mr. California somewhere around there. I think it was 84. It was the same year I think he won the Nationals. I'm not sure. But ultimately, Chris would go on to win the Mr. California. I would go on to win the Mr. California. Our good buddy Flex Wheeler would win the Mr. California. Melvin Anthony. I mean, a lot of guys that were doing the business were coming up behind Bob Paris and I believe Roy Legelmeyer as Mr. California champions. And Chris, I saw you on the radar. You were coming back in like 1990, I believe, or 91 was the first time you hit the USA.
Yes, I did the teenage Mr. California and the national teenage title.
Oh, let's back up. That was in 1987.
87.
You won the teenage and I won the Open in California.
Yeah, so I didn't want to leave out my teenage stuff.
That's right.
I love my teenage competitions, and I love competing as a teenager, and I was always trying to be behind all the teenagers coming up and kind of give them a good push into the men's division, because I thought it was really significant in my career to have had that experience in the NBC.
I agree with you, because actually in 1984, I won the Teenage Cal. You won the Teenage Cal in 87, and the same year I won the Open Cal. And I think that's really where it kicked into high gear for you. That's where you made the decision.
Yes, because at first I didn't know what was going on. People was telling me early on that I could be a standout bodybuilder. Some said yes, some said no. But I was determined to see how far I can go and see what I can do in the sport.
Yeah, well, you did very well. It was a very illustrious career. As a matter of fact, at the time you retired bodybuilding, you were one of the winningest bodybuilders of all time. And let's get to that, because you won 4 Pro Ironman championships?
Yeah, 4 in a row. And
4 years in a row, the Ironman champion. Do you remember what years those were?
I think my first one was 98 or 99, something like that.
That was a good run.
And then I just went through, and it was some great champions. So Mr. Olympia is also I placed ahead of in that competition. That went on to be Mr. Olympia's, but it was that was like my favorite competition to do, because it had the best lighting, obviously, and plus I was able to roll out of bed and just go over there and compete and come back home.
Promoters John Balick and Mike Nevieux had some of the best stage lighting of the Pro Ironman Championships. And it's funny because Chris and I, we kind of traveled a lot of the similar paths. He was coming up right behind me along with Flex Wheeler. And in that process, you made a decision to move from Palm Springs to Santa Monica and train at Gold's Gym. How was that?
Yeah, well, my mother, she was she stood behind me so much in my career, my mother and my dad. So, I was in school and I just kind of made the decision. I was in business and law class, and I was going to be an officer in law. So then I was like, just thinking, I need to go to Venice. My mom is like, if that's where you want to be and that's what you want to do in life, you need to go and be where those people are at, so you can get the best coaching and the best, the best teaching for the posing, for the training, for the diet, all the things you need to do. So,
was there someone in Venice that brought you to Venice? Like, was there a particular person drawing you that direction?
No, I mean, Rico McClinton was the first person that I met there. I was, I got an apartment there and I just started training. But he was like my first friend in Venice. And then from there, started meeting different people, and he knew a lot of people, obviously. So we just went from there, and then we started working at Roxbury together.
Yeah, the Roxbury, the famous Roxbury in Hollywood.
Yeah, so that's where a lot of stars and athletes. You've seen everyone from all the singers and athletes there, and it was just the Hollywood scene and
90210 crew and Mike Tyson smacking you in the back of the head.
Yeah, I gotta get Mike for that. I still owe him one for that.
So you were doing your bouncing with Rico and Flex, and you were training at Gold's Gym, and somewhere along the way, you racked up all these competition victories over in Australia and all around the world.
Right.
You were pursuing heavily that Arnold Classic Championship, which right now is a record. You got 6 first runner-ups. Several of those you probably could have pulled off. I gotta remind you, but those first runner-ups were shaping you and putting you in this mode to go full steam ahead, and you were working your way up from 93 when you turned pro by winning the overall USAs. Right. You wound up competing in that Mr. Olympia numerous times, and your best was a 3rd place in 1999, arguably the toughest top 6 in the history of the Olympia lineup, as far as I was concerned.
Yeah, there was some great champions, and people have taken top 2. That was all throughout the top 6.
Yeah.
So it was a tough show, and I really wanted that Arnold Classic really bad, and I was vowing to come back year after year and try to get it. I did 10 Arnold Classics, 10 Olympias, but I always placed well at the Arnold Classic. My first year I was 4th, and that was a cool experience. Then being in the top 6 my rookie year, it was I thought I was finally shutting up the naysayers, and that's one thing that that drove me, is people doubting my ability. And a lot of these guys nowadays just get butthurt behind it, but I just took it as fuel my fire, and I welcomed it, because you just say my name in a negative way and I'm going to go full force.
Yeah, you were definitely driven, but you were also one of those. You had an outlet. I mean, you were the Dennis Rodman of bodybuilding. Chris Cormier would be competing on stage, going after a $100,000 prize, and the same night he'd be on a stage in a nightclub with his shirt off for free, letting loose. So a lot of people want to know, how does that happen? Like, you just, is there a quagmire in terms of the focus it takes to be a world champion, and then just wanting to go out and cut loose for yourself, for fun?
It's just that no one noticed that I was, even before I was even 21, I was in clubs, because I was either doing security work or working for Gold's Gym, promoting the gym aspect.
Mm-hmm.
This area of Palm Springs, that's what I was doing.
You're a club kid.
I was always in the club, and I'd be there 3-4 nights in a week. When I was younger.
But you were shy.
But yeah,
you couldn't talk for anything. You were. I mean,
shy.
You kind of shied away from the publicity side, but you'd take your shirt off in a minute.
Yeah, but the thing is, I wanted to be, in that atmosphere to where I could just be like, okay, I'm not the shy kid. I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
I could dance. I could, whatever. I wasn't the best dancer, but I was moving a little something.
Yeah, you were no Michael Jackson.
But I was grooming myself, so when I get on stage, I was able to perform at a high level and not show any shyness when I really needed to just throw myself in the fire so many times that then I was able to come out of just doing the slow motion stuff to get into a little bit more of a dance.
You did Michael Jackson one time on stage. What year was that?
I did it a couple times. my most famous one that I almost busted out laughing was the one when Joe Weider was sitting right in front, him and Betty,
mm-hmm.
and that's when the music was going to was queued up to I'm going to do my Michael Jackson, but I just happened to be standing right in front of Joe. It was when all the stages came down.
Here we go.
Joe was right there in the front.
Yeah.
So here I am grabbing my crotch, and Joe is right here, and I'm just like this, and Joe just looking at me like.
But hey, man, you're a performer.
That was fun. But that was one of the times. I mean, like I said, it was a great great few years in being Olympia, performing, competing against the best in the world. It was
Now,
definitely highlighted.
Let's turn the page. What about losing to some of the best in the world? Because clearly there can only be one champion. In the 55-year history, you had 15 Mr. Olympia champions. I believe that's what drove you to one day want to be Mr. Olympia. And then when you look back and you weren't able to become Mr. Olympia, and you got second in the Arnold Classic, you were third in the Olympia, and you won everything else. I mean, did it leave a bitter taste in your mouth, or did you leave it all on the stage?
I mean, the only thing that upset me was I wanted to leave on my own terms, and I wasn't able to do that. So that's the part that strikes me as
because of injury.
Yeah, because of injury, and I had it all planned out. I'm like, just competing. You know, I'm going against you. I'm going against Dexter, Jay, Ronnie, Flex, Levroni, and Nasser, and all these guys on a continuous basis, which was fine with me. You know, I just thought, you know, we can always beat each other the next week. We all can come back on each other. So we was able to, you know, to compete, and I'm okay with a loss. I'd like to be where I think I should place, or I think I should have beaten a person, but it was fine because I knew one day I was gonna have my shot at the title, and I knew that was coming. So that's where I wanted to. That's where my head was at.
What was the sweetest victory? You got a lot of them. I think you had like 19 or 20 wins. What was the one you remember that stood out the most?
I gotta say two of them. I gotta say two because when I turned pro, when in the USA, was the whole top seven. The whole top seven was bona fide professionals, and to not go in as a front runner, which I wasn't. People thought I was gonna place out of the top five maybe or something like that, and to beat Mike Francois and Quadzilla on down the line. That was something, because that was like my stamp of
1993 you arrived.
Yeah, I'm here and I'm ready to go into the pros. And I was ready to go into the pros when I was an amateur because I was around.
How old were you in 1993?
24.
24 when you won your pro card, won the overall.
One going pro in that show, and that makes it like really a solidified feeling to be like, I beat everybody and the best in the nation.
A year later, you're in the Mr. Olympia in 94. How did you do your rookie year?
Top six.
Top six in your first Olympia contest.
Top six, which was very cool because, you know, all the people that I went against and wanted to see how I went up, how I would measure up to a lot of the greats that I've been watching over the years, because that's when all the magazines were out. That's when we have nothing but magazines to look at,
right.
Which was, you know, you wait for that, you wait each month for that news to come out, and that was like the Bible, you know, so everyone's reading that, reading the same words and reading page to page.
Well, you said you had two, so 93 turning pro is one of the biggest memories.
Then I had a training partner by the name of Flex Wheeler.
Fabulous, Kenny Flex Wheeler.
Flex thought he was better than me, I thought I was better than him.
What year?
I think it was 99.
Okay, so we back up because Flex turned pro in 1992 by winning the same show you did, the USA's.
And I helped him train for
you were his training partner. You turned pro in 93. And then 1994 comes along. Flex Wheeler has a notorious car accident. He's not able to compete, breaks his neck, and he misses out. 1995, he comes back, wins the Ironman, and gets second place to Mike Francois at the Arnold. But he's fully back, right? Now you're going to fast forward to 99. This is your second biggest memory of bodybuilding.
So.
Is this the year I told you you'll never beat me?
No, that's not the year. You told me that since
when you were a kid.
You told me that since I met you.
Yeah, right.
But Flex and I, you know, we was at odds with each other at that time, and you know, just like brothers are sometimes.
Were you training partners at that time?
No, we were, and then that was okay. We're gonna do this show, and Frank Cassavetes said, "Okay, Chris, let's go, me and you."
First Olympia in Las Vegas.
And then Charles Glass obviously picked Flex. He thought he was better than me also.
So was Charles training you then, or just Frank?
We were all training together.
Okay.
And then we just split camp.
All right, camp breaks up in 99. Is this the year that Flex won the Arnold Classic too, in 99?
He won the Arnold Classic. It was a very controversial.
Controversial. So you got second at the Arnold Classic,
Yeah.
but you won the Ironman. All right, so you're the Ironman champ. Flex is the Arnold Classic champ, and we're running headstrong to the Mr. Olympia in '99.
And I knew Flex wanted it just as bad as I did, but I knew I was ahead of him at the time. So once I saw I was ahead of him, I was confident that he wasn't going to catch me. Like if I'm ahead of you, like, and I'm watching you, I'm watching what you're doing, how are you getting ready. I knew I was going to be able to beat him. Dexter took third in that show, but just to beat Flex at that Ironman, and half of the gym was on Flex's side, half of the gym was on my side.
Right.
And he might have had more on his side but even in the audience, it was the same thing. All my people was on the left side of the stage, all his people on the right side of the stage.
Okay.
So even during my competition, even during my training, my opposing routine, I still gestured over to that side to the crowd where he was.
Taunting him.
Yeah, taunting the people with him, everybody. I was like, okay, shut up.
So we fast forward.
Like, shut up, man.
We fast forward. Ronnie Coleman wins his second consecutive Olympia. Flex Wheeler is second place in 1999, and Chris makes his very best showing in his career by placing third in 1999.
Right.
I believe fourth place was Livroni, and fifth place was Nasser. No, I was fifth place.
You was fifth. Nasser was sixth.
You wound up. Nasser was in sixth place.
Yeah.
Show's over. Flex beats you. Is it a disappointment?
Well, I was just happy at that time to be in the top three because getting ready for that competition, I actually called it out that yes, before I was happy with being in the top six. That's that gave me, like I said, a stamp of approval. Like yes, I belong here. But when I verbally said yes, I'm going to be in the top three this year, it was actually people I'd never beaten before.
Well, you got Nasser, you got Kevin, and you had me. Those are three guys you hadn't beaten at that point.
Yeah, and all these guys have been in the top two before.
Right.
So that's saying something to be like, you know what, enough of this. I'm going to be where I should be, and that's forging ahead closer to the title. And I thought, even at that time, I thought I could have been second at that competition.
So the question is, did you peak in '99 because you never approached that level of closeness to the Olympia trophy again? Was that your peak at that time, or were you changing your training?
I had different avenues. I looked different at different times. I got a little bit older. I had a little bit more mature look at different times, but that was that was the first time I made the combination. Almost like when Ronnie took
his first Olympia, 98.
Yeah, that first burst of improvement, shape, cuts, and everything, routine, everything went along in that particular time. So my routine, it was just like off the charts and everything. But I was getting ready for it, flying out to Vegas on the weekends, dancing at the nightclubs on the weekends, but training 5 days a week, and then going to Vegas for 2 days. And I stopped around 5 weeks out. That's when it came out that Chris hangs out. Chris is.
So let me get this straight. You're dancing 5 nights a week at clubs. That's part of your training?
Training 5 days a week, then flying to Vegas for 2 days on the weekend.
To party, or to dance. You were a dancer?
Yeah.
You're like,
I'm on the stage.
I'm
controlling the crowd. I'm doing my thing.
So where was this? Spearmint Rhino?
I've been this is at Raw.
Okay.
This is at Club Raw.
So you're dancing on the weekends just to burn off some steam. It's part of your cardio. It's part of your prep. But do you think after '99 you were ever as good as that, and things didn't line up for you, or?
Dude, I was good the very next year, which people didn't get a chance to see, and I didn't get a chance to present. I was training for the Olympia. I'm 2 months out. I'm 282 pounds. Ronnie is 300 plus at the time, and I thought that I had a shot I was gonna better myself my 99 in 2000. I'm in Mexico posing for Mr. Mexico City, and I had a seizure after my last show. I did 12 guest posing, 12 shows in 12 different cities, and had a seizure that night.
At the night you were guest posing?
Yeah, the night I guest posed.
Did you guest pose first? Or?
I guest posed first.
So later on that night you had a seizure?
Yeah, woke up.
In the hospital, or?
No, I woke up, but I was half conscious, half not. And they just said, you know, if you don't get up, you're gonna die because we cannot pick you up. There's like no way they could pick me up. I was.
So these are the Mexicans speaking Spanish, telling you,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
Wow.
So I was in a hospital and I was completely out. I'm seeing people who passed away, you know, in my family when I was out, and then next thing you know, there's my grandmother was like, "It's not your time, Chris," like that, and I just woke up and just like I seen all these people in white. I thought I was in heaven, but it was all nurses, all dressed in white.
You were in the hospital.
I was in the hospital in Mexico, and then you know I was like happy to be alive. I was I did not want to go forward in my preparation. I didn't know why this happened, so you know, I went to sports doctors out there. I ended up just cashing it in, going to Cancun for a few days, and then I flew back to America. And then, you know, even Jim Manning was like, "Chris, you should do the show." I said, "You're in great shape. You're gonna play so well anyway. You should do it." I said, "No." I said, "I don't want to push you right now," which I should have done it because I feel like that would have been another year that.
So did you sit out the 2000 Olympia?
I sat in the audience, man, tears in my eyes.
Wow.
Looking at these guys, I'm seeing Ronnie is like 280 some pounds, and I'm like, I could have beat that look.
So Ronnie wins in 2000. How does it end for you? Because I think you kind of just faded away. I heard that you had a back injury. I heard you were in the hospital, and then I heard you were in a coma, and then no more Chris Cormier.
Yeah, I mean, I came back for 2 more shows, but I was a shell of myself in those shows, and you know.
Were you training with Charles and Flex at the time, or?
I trained with Charles at that time. I was trying to go over to train with Dorian. That was the next thing I wanted to do.
This is 2003?
No, this was after 05.
05, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I was over in staying with my buddy Bo over there in Hagerstown, New Jersey, and I was just about to fly over to train with Dorian for the last 10 weeks for the show. Then I was gonna come in and make a bang. I was 295 pounds. I had my abs in already. I was ready to start hardening up more, had great shape. And then it's wound up, you know, that infection in my spine, had a staph infection, and it put me in a coma. And then I spent the next 6 months under, you know, watching drips come down in the IV into my arm. You know, that was.
This is your second brush with death. Did you think you were gonna die during this phase, or?
I almost died.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know how serious it was that people die within 3 days with this type of same illness. So I didn't know how close I was, but it was, you know, it shook me to the core, and yeah, I spent the next 8 months or so on the East Coast, not being able to even come back to the West Coast.
So when everything came out, was that the end of your career, or did you try to come back?
I tried to come back, and I didn't want that to be the end of me. You know, I'm watching all these failed athletes on television day after day in the hospital.
You got to be near 40 years old at this time.
Yeah, I was close. Yeah, I was around 40.
Okay.
So the thing was, I was like, okay, I still have another shot. You know, if I can, you know, get my body back. But everything had been stripped down. I lost like 60 pounds of muscle by the time I woke up. So my legs was like fully, you know, full, but shrinking down to like all the way down to bare bones when I woke up. And that was, you know, that in itself is going to really kill your mindset and question yourself, are you able to do it?
How was your back? Were you able to squat and do the things you normally did?
No.
Okay.
No more squat.
And even though you couldn't do that, you still wanted to come back?
I still wanted to come back. I still wanted to see what I can do, and, you know,
you made a decision.
It changed my body a little bit, shortened my torso a little bit, and it wasn't the same body that I had.
But you took that to England and enlisted the help of Dorian, who's been retired.
After that, yeah.
Dorian had been retired for down there 10 years almost.
Right.
And he's willing to help you out, take you in, and build you back up.
Right.
How long did that last?
I was in Europe a lot because I was with a company based out of Europe. So I'd go and stay in England and train with Dorian, and it opened my eyes to a lot. It like really brought me back to the basics of training altogether, and it raised my level of intensity, to where, you know, I was able to do a lot more, but I just ran out of time with father time and injuries and everything.
So you never made it back to the stage?
No, I didn't make it back to the stage.
When was the moment of clarity that said, my career's over, I'm done? Did you wake up one day and go, okay, I'm not even gonna try to pursue this?
It happened.
Was it over for you in England when you were training with Dorian, or did you come home?
No, I mean, we kind of like just kind of put our heads together on what's possible or whatever, and you know, I just think the injuries piled up too much to where I have a certain level of pride, you know, when I went on the stage, and if I'm not able to do those type of things and perform at that level, I don't really want to do it.
So this is when a switch had to have gone off, because literally overnight you became a trainer to the stars. You started training with a lot of different people.
Well, it took a lot of.
No, you had to work your way in.
Yeah, but it took a lot of depression time, and you know, coming from being a top-notch competitor to not want to even put any type of product back out there.
Do you think that's normal, that after a career so successful as yours, that there is a depression time for a top-notch athlete until they find their next gust of wind?
It was totally like that for me. I couldn't do anything. I was just frozen in my own body for months on, and couldn't, you know, you're just down to your very last compound.
A lot of people like that. You know, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was down to his last $7 before he decided to become The Rock. Like that's why the name of his company is called $7 Production, because that's all he had in his pocket.
I believe it.
When he found his way out of the darkness and into the light. But you did make the transition. You became the next Charles Glass, because Charles Glass was known as a trainer. He trained you, he trained Flex, he trained Mike Christian, he trained Gunther Schlierkamp, he trained a lot of athletes coming through Gold's Gym, taught you a lot. But then you took what you were already doing, what Charles was then capable of doing, and you started making a name for yourself slowly but surely, not only with the men, but also the bikini girls. And you're in demand all over the world. Your training has taken you literally as many places as your bodybuilding has taken you.
That's correct.
And that's a good thing, because you're creating the next generation of champions. I know you're just fresh back from New York working with Juan Morel, who's two-time King of New York Pro champion. I was there when he won over, and I think it was Japan last year. He's qualified for the Olympia, and he's getting ready for the Olympia now. And you're actually visiting these pros, you're staying with these pros, you're babysitting these guys, and you're pouring yourself into them. I mean, how good does it feel to be able to be that close to the action and not have to put yourself through the torture?
Right. I mean, it's the same thing as far as like when I go to the gym, I put just as much into their workout as they are, you know, just as much time with, you know, with the posing. I'm in the very, that's down.
Yeah.
That's
the essence of bodybuilding is performance.
That's real bodybuilding, yeah. It's not like I'm just sitting behind a computer and just like,
throwing out diets.
Yeah, here's a diet. But I think that's where the real art form is not as much being like
taught.
Yeah, taught and in the right way with the right people doing it. Like, just because you win a competition and then you want to go teach somebody, coach somebody to what you think they should do. But I try to, like, I want Juan to still be himself, but let me give him a touch of this
wisdom.
There's wisdom and
Chris Cormier wisdom.
Experience.
Yes.
And, you know, the mindset. I want you to feel like this, think like this. And it comes through from the training to the posing and the designing the physique. And I think he's gonna show so much improvement this year.
Yeah.
I'm really gonna bet on that.
Well, it's great that you're able to work with new personalities. I know you worked with Rolly Winkler when he won the Arnold Classic over there in Australia. I was there at the mic. You worked with Big Ramy. You worked with a lot of different people. Breon Ansley, our two-time classic champion.
I just did a great job with Sergio Liga.
At the Arnold Classic.
Yeah, and he placed where I thought he was going to play, so that was basically like a win. I thought he was going to be around that area, so that was good. And then, and Breon's going to be ready for this next one. I'd like to get Breon to come out there to New York with me and tango out there with some of those guys.
It's tough during the pandemic, right? I mean, COVID's kind of slowed everything down. And in the process, you have not slowed down. You just recently signed on with us over at Real Leader USA Equipment.
Yes.
And Tell us how that all kind of came about.
I heard about it a few years ago, and it stood out. Real Leader stood out because like Real Deal and Real Leader is very similar. So I was always like, okay, I'm like, oh, it's almost like my nickname. Met some of the guys that I knew you had signed on with them. I knew certain people that when I go to China, I would train on the equipment.
Right.
And so I trained many champions on the equipment already. I have a very good good insight with the equipment itself. And I'm thinking like, man, it's always been a dream of mine to be able to design equipment or come out with a line of equipment with my own name on it, my own signature line. So it's been a dream of mine that's coming true all of a sudden, and it's just so happened to be during this time. I think it's a great time for myself and for the Real Leader company.
Absolutely, because the kind of people you train and the experience that you bring, I'm sure we're going to get some great equipment from the input that you put in.
Plus, everyone needs equipment. Everyone needs equipment, and I think it's just been brought to the forefront how important it is, mental health and being able to exercise and keep yourself healthy during this pandemic.
All right, let me hit you with 5 quick questions here. Well, first of all, your son is now 21 years old.
21, give me up.
You brought him up on the Ironman stage when he was this big.
Yeah.
21-year-old father, Chris Cormier. Your grandfather is not too far away for you.
Not too far away.
So we're going into the Mr. Olympia Championships. Phil Heath is coming out of retirement. James Flex Lewis is moving up from the 212 to the open category. Dexter at 51 years old is going for another Olympia championship. It's probably his last contest. He said that on record. And William Bonig, who was chomping at the bit, was second place last year. He's won a few Arnold Classics. Do you have a prediction for who's going to be the reigning beat the reigning champion, Brandon Curry? Can Brandon hold on to that show?
I mean, Brandon has to be excited about it. Having Phil come back, and I had different conversations with some of these top guys, and I know everyone's hungry for it. I think everyone is actually confident that they can win it.
Who has the best chance to win it? December 20th, Las Vegas, Planet Hollywood, Zappos Theater. Who's the new
obviously
Mr. Olympia?
the champion has the best chance.
So Brandon has the inside track.
Chance. There's a sluggish chance that Phil can come in and take the title for his 8th title. I know he's. I think his body fat is at a really good level right now. I think he's looking really. He's a just depending on how he formulates his plan to come in the best he's ever looked, because he has to try to come in a throwback feel and not play the game of trying to be too big. Right. That's not going to work for him. And William Bonig, I've been in discussions with him and helping him with his posing and stuff. So I'm hoping to really, to see, and like I said, Dexter's a person who you can never count out. And I think he's actually training harder than he has in the past few years, from my eyes.
Okay.
And I think that's going to help him. So, like I said, we got some champions upon champions. All these people are beating. A lot of people are beating everybody else on this same stage.
This will definitely be one.
This is going to be the top 4 is going to be crazy.
Second question before we get out of here: a day in the life. Are you doing the things that you want to do at this stage of your life? Is life been kind to you?
Yeah.
Is it a struggle? Is it an adventure? Are your best years ahead of you, or your best years behind you?
I think my best years can be ahead of me because I'm going to do it in a lot smarter way now. I'm doing all the things I like to do, and this is, like I said, I always wanted to do something with equipment and the way I train people and be able to put my mindset into an actual solid form of equipment and train someone on it, and man, it's just gonna be, that's the best thing I could ever do.
All right, let me get to the next one. Our third question: are today's bodybuilders better than yesterday's bodybuilders?
Better. I'm not saying better. I'm saying it's a different look. It's a totally different look.
Today's bodybuilders?
Yeah, it's totally different look. But some of the things that we didn't take for granted, that some of the things that different parts of the physique or different parts of preparation that was second nature to us is not second nature to this.
Do you think it's because they're getting started later? We started as teenagers. I don't know very many teenagers doing the business.
Right.
Maybe they're starting a little later.
It might be something like that. Like I said, being 12, 14, 15 years old and wanting to be a bodybuilder, it's not the most common thing now. More so now, if that's going to happen, they probably want to wear board shorts and just have that upper body look. But that's not many people going from wanting to do that. I mean, I like to push the teenagers in a positive way because it was so good to me. So I like to see competitors in bodybuilding as a team.
All right, let me get to question number 4. Is it better as a bodybuilder or a contest promoter? We know you got the Cormier Classic and you just had that over in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Which feels more rewarding? The promotion of a show where you have all these athletes riding your hard work and your promotions, or being an athlete and fighting for those awards?
I think the Cormier Classic, which is going to be May 22nd of this next year, I think is the best thing ever because it's a whole different feeling for me to be sitting back and seeing that the stage is full of competitors. Your name is just above their heads, the Cormier, and you got all these people who are, sponsored your show, and people come to just to kind of support your competition, stuff like that. It's the most fulfilling feeling I've ever had.
All right, and finally, what advice would you have for a guy that wants to take up bodybuilding today, wants to be Mr. Olympia 2022? What's your advice?
I would think to understand the human body, understand the anatomy, the kinesiology, what type of physique you're gonna go for, what type of look you're gonna go for, I should say, and understand the importance of your food and being professional about it and doing something every day to get better.
Absolutely, and if someone wanted to reach out to you to train them, where would they go?
A lot of people go to my Instagram, which is _Chris Cormier on Instagram, or therealdealcormier@gmail.com. And you can always reach me through therealleader.com, which is going to be my new home equipment. If you want to get some for your home or your actual gym, we have what you need. So come to see me there.
All right, and if you want to check out that line of equipment, go to www.realleadergym.com for the Where Are They Now series here at Digital Muscle and Chris Cormier. I'm Shawn Ray. Make sure you tune in next week for more Monday Night Muscle.